And I think可以希望的还是方面有差别的话，还是
Yeah, and us would probably explain it. And then we'll talk about it after. Yeah.
Or later.
Sounds good.
Good evening. I'd like to announce that we're going to 7 p.m. We're going to be doing the 2025 financial plan. First, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 5 territory. City of Thompson is located on the ancestral lands of the Basic Cree Nation. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. So this evening's financial plan will be presented by our Chief Financial Officer, Lynn Taylor. And Lynn, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. And thank you, Council, for giving me this opportunity to present the 2025 financial plan. The budget presented many challenges that were beyond the control of the City Council when it was debated. 2025, as everyone knows, was a general reassessment year for all properties within the city. And this reassessment implemented major overall increase in the value of properties for taxation purposes. The value of the increase is not consistent throughout the city, with many of these properties seeing their assessed value for taxation purposes increase, but other properties, particularly those in the commercial sector, saw their property values lowered. Further, Council was very aware of the impact that changes in which education taxes were being changed by the province, and saw the elimination of the $350 rebate from education for residential properties, the maximum rebate cap of $1,500 now put on the 50% reduction towards the education tax portion, and restricts this refund to principal residents only. What that means is that if it isn't your principal resident and you're living in an apartment building, your apartment owners no longer get that refund. And the elimination of a 10% reduction that was formerly given to all commercial properties. Through the budget, Council was very cognizant of the impact that reducing the revenues derived from the changes to the ambulance service, and wanting to ensure that much needed capital projects were funded. At the end of the debate, everything in the capital budget totaling $49,119,803 was offset with grants and transfers from reserve accounts, except for $183,000. Another major priority for Council was to ensure the protection of persons and property, and in addressing this, agreed with the province to cost share the hiring of 4 new RCMP who would be forming a special crime suppression unit. This budget also increases the weekly hours for the 4 community services officers from 35 to 40, and allows for more flexibility, and they will now provide coverage from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. As well, in view of the recent rash of wildfires within the province, and most particularly in the north, much needed fire suppression equipment was approved, with the cost of this being transferred under the provisions of the Canada Community Building Fund, which was formerly known as the Gas Tax Fund. There were increases throughout the budget that are uncontrollable, such as fuel and repair costs for the city fleet vehicles, contract obligations both for services and collective bargaining agreements, and our general insurance. Assessments are still being compiled on the effects that the U.S. tariffs will have on our costs. In the interim, we are restricting as much as possible the purchase of supplies and equipment to Canadian companies. Staffing shortages, along with the additional hours for CSOs, were addressed in the Recreation, Technical and Community Services and Finance Department. We now have a PowerPoint to present on the budget.
I'd like to acknowledge that Councillor Valentino is on Zoom this evening.
Page 1. Okay, the highlights we had a municipal general levy increase of 2%, which is earmarked towards the public safety initiatives. Our mill rate for 2025 is 27.53 mils. Our business tax remains at 3.99%, and the special levy for water, storm, and sewer service residential repairs remains at 91.91. The next one shows our revenues. Our tax levy is 34% of the total budget. Capital grants, we receive 21% towards the budget. Utility charges are 19%. Reserves our provision to reserves is 15%. Provincial support 7%. Other revenue sources 2%, and protective environmental is 1% each. The property taxes are distributed throughout the budget. The school district of Mystery Lake receives $9,633,000. Municipal tax is $12,644,000. Business tax is $443,000. Education support levy, which is the provincial levy on commercial properties, is $1,055,000. And the special levy, which is the water and sewer repairs, is $298,000. Our expenditures, capital projects are 49% of the total expenditures. Utility is $24 million. Protective services is $12.4 million. Reserve transfers and other physical transfers are $12 million. Transportation services, which includes public works, is $4 million. General government services, which is the operations of the mayor and council and the administration, city manager's office, finance, purchasing. Recreation is $3 million. Public health and economic development is $0.9 million. Debt payment is $0.63 million, and environmental health services $0.27 million. General government services, which include council, administrative functions, i.e. the city manager, finance, HR, IT, purchasing, legal fees, and communications. Our insurance on all city buildings and the payment for assessment services is 4% of the total budget. Protective services is $12.5 million, or 22% of the budget, and this includes the RCMP, fire and ambulance services, which includes 24 members plus the support staff, the 4 community safety officers, the bylaw officers, animal control, and building inspections. Transportation services is $4 million, or 6% of our budget. It includes snow removal on streets and sidewalks, repair of streets, paving and patching, street cleaning, sidewalk and curb repairs, and street lighting. Environmental health is a $1.7 million, or 3% of the budget, and it includes garbage collection, the recycling program, the community cleanup program, and the removal of waste in community garbage and recycling cans throughout the city and the landfill. Public health, welfare, and economic development services is $0.9 million, which is 1.6% of budget. It includes cemetery care and maintenance, social assistant payments to the province, and economic development services. Recreation and culture is $3.2 million, or 5.6% of the budget. It includes the TRCC, which is the CA Nesbitt Arena, the Gordon Beard Arena, the Bill Kamaski Wellness Center, and the walking track. There are 3 outdoor rinks and 3 splash parks, the tennis courts, the skate park, all area parks and dog park, the ball diamonds and the soccer fields, the Millennium Trail, the brushing program, and it also includes the contributions to the Thompson Public Library, the Thompson Zoological Society, or as more commonly known as the Boreal Discovery Center, and Heritage North Museum. Our debentures are points, money that we owe is 0.63 million or 1.1% of the budget. And this covers the work that was done previously for the Thompson Regional Community Center phases, different park projects such as the skate park, Fifth Park and McLean Park, and the UCN Drive and Burntwood South subdivisions. At the end of 2025, we have $838,917 in outstanding debt. And then the pie chart breaks it down. 10% of that is for the recreation projects. 11% is for the water and sewer. 24% is for UCN and Birdwood South, and 55% is money that went towards the building of the community center. The next chart shows our payment levels for the debt, which will be completely paid off at the end of 2028. So we're well on the way to having no debt again, unless future budgets we have to borrow. Our reserves have been used consistently in the past number of years to fund the capital projects for the purposes that they were set up for. But we're coming to a point where we are, through our new asset management program, having to just debate and come up with a plan for future replacement of our aging buildings and other infrastructure. So this chart shows what the reserve balances are in each account. Do you want me to read them? Or okay, the next one is capital projects. This year's budget contains $49.1 million, or 60% of our overall budget for capital projects. We're spending $11.4 million on the roads and walks, and that's the continuation of the ISIC program that has been ongoing for a number of years. $24 million is going into building construction and renovation. Equipment purchases, we're spending $3.1 million. $0.4 million is being spent on recreation, including parks. $0.6 million is being spent on environmental services, and other unallocated is $0.7 million. The unallocated is a provision of money that is put aside for contingencies during the year, and those projects are identified and reported to council as they occur. When we put the budget together, there are things that pop up during the year that are unknown. So you'll see them come forward as a special resolution to council as needed. And $9.3 million is going towards water and sewer projects, which also includes the continuation of the ISIC program. In our capital budget, we're spending $23,795,148 for building construction, $11,430,000 for sewer sidewalks, $9,580,000 for sewer and water, $3,770,655 for equipment purchases, $370,000 for environmental services, and $559,000 for recreation. For those of you who viewed the financial plan, page 13B of the plan gives a breakdown of each one of those areas of projects. Our utility costs are $17 million, and that's for water treatment and supply and sewage collection and disposal. The next page gives you the mill rate comparison. So in 2024, the residential mill rate was 47.351 mills, and this year the total mill rate is 48.1493 mills. And for commercial properties, last year it was 55.48 mills, and this year it's 55.2664 mills. That indicates part of the shift between the increases in residential property assessments and the decrease in commercial property assessments. The next number of pages are examples of what the impact of the 2025 mill rate has on the various areas. For those of you who have attended in the past, we've always been able to use a sample property for both residential and commercial that was reflective of the overall increase but in reviewing all of the assessments, I found that there were major shifts even between the different areas of town. For example, in this very first one, you'll notice that it's in the Riverside area, and the taxes last year on this property were $5,134.09, but this year they're going to be $657.82, and that's primarily because of the increase in their assessments. So they're seeing a $514 increase in the assessments for that home in the Riverside area. In the Westwood area, last year, the property was taxed at $2,975.23. But this year, though, that same property's taxes will be $4,221.40. That's a major increase, but it's primarily related to the assessments and the changes in the way that the education rebate is handled. The residential property in the Birchwood South area last year, they paid $5,199.57 for taxes. This year it'll be $6,292.43, another big increase. And in the Birchwood Trailer Court, the same thing. The last year, their taxes were $1476.71, and this year the taxes will be $1791.31, which is an increase there of $314. Eastwood is seeing taxes from last year of $2631.08, and this year there'll be $3182.69. Or an increase of $551.61. And the townhouse in Eastwood last year was seeing a tax of $1,115.65, and this year it's $1,541.19, or an increase of $425.54. On the reverse side, one of the malls in town last year paid $514,468.53 for taxes overall, but their taxes this year will reduce to $421,221.15, which is a reduction of $93,356.38. We have a retail business in the downtown area that last year paid $12,112.81. This year they'll be paying $12,628.60. The difference is $155.79, or 1%. And another residential business or commercial business in the industrial area, their taxes last year were 58,1357. And this year they'll be 59,3729, an increase of 123.72 or 0.1%. So. And the hotel, last year was paying 125,936.08. This year they'll be paying 145,221.66, which is an increase of 19,285.58 or 1.5%. So you can see the shift between the difference between the overall residential properties and the commercial properties made it really hard for us to come up with a standard sampling for just what the tax increase is going to be at the end of the day. The council is providing contributions again to the Thompson Public Library in the amount of $240,000. The Thompson Recycling Center in the amount of $237,000. Heritage North Museum will receive $65,000 plus they get up to $5,000 towards their hydro costs. And the Boreal Discovery Center is receiving, a grant of $60,000. And that's the presentation. Thank you very much.
Please note that the payment deadline is October 31st, 2025. Comments?
Presentations for or against.
Pardon?
You have to take presentations for or against the
Okay.
budget. This is comments.
Anybody wants to step forward and this is a piece of paper there, sign your name, presentation, and whether you're for or against the budget.
Ron Matichuk, 20 Ash Street, glad to be back. It's almost like a free country again. I am against this. I see lots of waste as usual, nothing new. I have some questions. My first question is, how much of the new pool is unfunded at this time?
Lynn, do we have an answer?
The portion that's attributable to this year is totally funded. We still have to 2026, the pool isn't due to be open until the end of August next year. So that will go through another budget process.
I'll be here to ask it again. What is in the surplus account presently?
The general reserve.
Is what we consider a surplus. Whether it be collecting interest for us in the bank or the reserve I already saw on the board.
In our general reserve, we have $2,152,000. Overall, in our total reserves, we'll end up at the end of this year with almost $14 million.
Okay, and when it says in here, investments, what does that include? Income on investments.
That's the interest we make on our bank balances.
So that would be, okay. Okay, next, the loader that you're purchasing for the garbage dump according to this, is that to replace an old loader or is it to buy a new?
That's a replacement, I believe, of the loader that's out there right now.
So that's a track machine then?
I don't know detail. No, I don't believe it's right. I think it's a solid tire, and that's the loader. It's replaced the Bobcat. Just gets.
No, Bobcat is also in here.
No, the loader, I believe, is solid tires. I don't believe it's.
So it's an addition, it's something new
Yes.
at $270,000. Okay, also on there's a shredder listed at $900,000. What do we need a shredder for?
Mattresses, couches, things like that that can't be recycled. and then have to be buried.
Why not dismantle them and separate the materials using manpower instead of spending $900,000? We have a homeless problem in Thompson, and homelessness comes from joblessness. Now, if these people can't get a job, which they have a hell of a time doing at the city of Thompson, because first of all, you have a grade 12 prerequisite in order to apply for any job. Something like this comes up that some of them people maybe can do, and we're prepared to spend $900,000 to keep them unemployed. Not too brilliant.
And
There's a-
100,000 will last many years on that shredder, sir.
$900,000, that's before you put a machine on it, that's before you put a person on it. That will be extra, that's the purchase. How much do you make per year on couches, mattresses, and such that's in that pile? What does that bring in?
I haven't got the answer right now, sir.
But you're prepared to spend $900,000, but don't know what the numbers are. This is very poorly thought out.
I just wanted to add that that also is going to add to the life expectancy of our landfill. By reducing the amount of waste that we have to bury.
Wrong. It's wasted money, simple as that. You should be looking at employing some of the people that are not employed. That's what I expect out of my tax dollars.
It's more than just an employment issue, sir. We still have to transfer all the pieces and that and basically pay wages and the whole 9 yards. It definitely has been
A laborer,
studied as to what would happen.
laborers' rates. Instead of coming out front with $900,000 expenditure. Makes no sense at all. You could be helping the community, instead you're being a burden on the community. Thank you, I am against this budget.
Would you sign your name, please?
I didn't sign it, I put my name down, I wrote it, it doesn't say sign. But I will put opposed,
Thank you.
give someone else a chance.
Next, anyone else wish to make a comment on the budget? On the second time, anyone else make a presentation on the budget?
I just have a quick question about, why
Can
is,
you put your name down, please? Thank you.
the value of property in different areas of town, why is it so drastic?
That is provincial assessment. They come up and reevaluate the properties. It has nothing to do with the city.
Because like the houses are like, we have what, 4,000 houses and they're all the same. So Weston's getting hit real hard, like $2,000 increase.
Some of the things that they look into is how often, what the prices of houses sell for, how many houses are available in areas. There's a whole scenario of lists of things to look for. I don't know, Anthony, if you wanna expand on that.
Yeah, so provincial assessments comes up every few years and does an assessment where they compare properties and they review sales. Then they determine if they think a property is worth more than it was in the past or worth less. And then when you apply the generic mill rate to that, if they've decided your assessment's higher, you end up with a higher bill. If they decide that your property is assessed lower, you end up with a lower bill. So we've seen this shift in the past. Commercial was paying higher, residential was lower. And in their latest rounds of assessments, they've raised the assessment on a number of houses, but they've decreased it on some of the commercial. So I think that's what Lynn was speaking to.
Right, but it looks like they did it in specific areas, like they increased the values in Western area.
They do go through different areas and they do comparisons.
So, and there's no disputing that, or?
There's the board of revision, so there's something that comes out in October, you'll see a notice, it's called the board of revision. If you don't agree with your assessment, you would apply to the board to have your property reassessed.
Yeah, but your taxes are due, what, October 31st?
If the board of revision finds in your favor, you would get a refund, or if it went to the municipal board and they found in your favor, then the city would be refunding them. Is that correct, Lynn? That's how that works.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just add to that, the assessment, sorry. Also, if you challenge the assessed value of your property, there is also the opportunity to, I guess, sort of come to an agreement with the assessment office. If they've reassessed your value and you agree to it before it goes to Board of Revision, then that would be your new assessed value, so it doesn't necessarily have to go to that step of the Board of Revision. If they've come and inspected your property and they've reassessed it and they've said, whatever your assessment value is 200,000 and you're okay with that, you agree, you can actually sign to have that be your new assessed value, and it doesn't have to go to Board of Revision. If you want to dispute what the assessor has determined what your assessed value will be once they've come and done an inspection and reassessed your property, it would go to Board of
So
Revision.
have, they've already done that? They've
Well,
already
they've done the assessments of the properties, and if you want to dispute it, which what Anthony just explained,
okay,
is that you'd have the opportunity to dispute it when those letters come out.
oh,
When
okay,
they send you the assessment, and there'd be like information in there saying
Okay.
process, like if you wanted to dispute it.
okay, okay.
Excuse me.
Lynn?
Just one thing, last year, because this is a general reassessment year, last year, every property, every homeowner in the city received a notice that of what their 2025 assessments were going to be. And these assessments will be for 2025, 26, and 27, and then we're into another reassessment year.
Okay.
The Board of Revision sat last fall to hear any appeals on those letters that came out last August, I believe. And we had very few appeals. But there were several people who had gone to the assessment branch and they made the changes for 2025. Unfortunately, for those who didn't appeal to the Board of Revision last year, will still have the opportunity to appeal for 2026 taxes.
But it's not gonna, but this year. Yeah, see, and they don't, it doesn't really affect you till you see the dollar value, right? Of your property tax increase.
Can you put if you support or?
Oh, I'm against it all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't have a presentation, but I just have a question.
No, please come up to the front so everybody can hear.
My question is, what is the applicable inflation rate that you have applied in your budget?
We were looking at an increase of 2% to match the, or the public safety initiatives.
Okay, because I don't know if I have the correct budget that I am having right now, because according to your presentation a while ago, your public, your protective services has a budget. If we can go back to that screen, please.
The $12.5 million.
Okay, so your last 12.5, right? Okay, so, and that will be your budgeted expenditure for this year, is that correct? So, with the status of the public safety for right now, there is just, if I can estimate this, 300,000 more than the previous. Is that enough for you to control and for you to mitigate the public safety in town right now?
So on the crime suppression unit, the province is funding another third of that. And then there's gonna be meetings with the feds to see if they'll fund any additional, that's some of the money going towards the crime suppression unit, which will be the new unit starting up this November. Sorry, London.
Yes, do you think that's already enough to control and to have the feeling of being a resident here to be safe?
With the commitment of the province and the federal government, if you believe we'll make it work, and if it doesn't, we we will reach out to the province and federal government.
Yeah, that's just my increase. I think that should be our most number one concern right now because the situation is not really mitigating. So,
That's why we asked that whole 2% increase goes strictly to protective services, that it can't be used for other things.
so my other question is, there is an imbalance of collection of the business tax towards the residential taxes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your collection on your business, your business taxes is lower than, which is all right, right? We don't have enough business here. Do you have extra budget on your economic development on how you could at least aid the residential people here in town to at least have a lower mill rate so that your financial status and your expenditure will not be more than what a residential person would carry? Do you have that in your financial strategy? Do you have an economic development that would grow the business so that residents here will not carry more than what they can? As, let's, for example, this is my point. A 1967 resident or house is being right now applied to a 27 point how many mill rate? And how much is that? If you are an ordinary citizen and you have an average per capita per household, and don't you think that is more than what right now a person could contribute? You need to have those in place in your minds as our leader so that our residents will not carry more than what they can just to provide you the expenditures that you will spend on this year. Would you believe a property in Southside will be costing $6,000 in the north? Even in Edmonton or a developed city will not cost you $6,000. This is just an example. A 400,000 cost of a resident in Edmonton North, in Edmonton, will not pay $6,000. It will only cost them $2,500, and that's a developed city.
I know for sure that's not if the case in all of Edmonton, because I know what my sister pays and she lives in a house that's similar like that. And again, it's by, the assessment and what it is. And Thompson doesn't have that many $400,000 homes, but if that's what they're.
But if you're gonna be comparing the cost.
And we do put money in for economic.
But my point is, Mayor, I'm sorry to cut you there. My point is, you as our leaders, you need to think about that, on how you can grow the economy of the city. Because this is not a livable city anymore. With the safety issue and with the cost that is being in there as a resident, this is a high cost city.
Thank you.
And I oppose this.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Ron Matichuk, once again, I agree totally in what she said. And the start to doing that is cut these ridiculous costs at the waste disposal grounds. You have the $900,000 on the shredder, you got $270,000 on a loader that you didn't need previous to this. So obviously one is to help the other. You're buying a shredder, you need this loader. Right there is approximately 10% you could knock off of your mill rate. It's that simple. It's just tax and spend all the time and no answering to it. What do we charge for a mattress at the garbage dump? Drop one off.
I do believe it's $20.
Okay, back when I was on council, I recall it cost $110 to get a contractor in there to deal with each mattress. That's how inefficient it was. What are the numbers gonna be now? Has anybody crunched anything on that?
There has been some crunching done and we'll let you know, sir, when that's done.
Meanwhile, this is gonna pass and we're gonna spend the money. Wow, I'll have some kind of answer.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Comments, budget? Comments on the budget? Third and final time, any comments on the budget? Public presentation is closed. Meeting is adjourned. On the regular, call for adjournment. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, Counselor Orberdorfer, all in favor? Great, thank you. Council meeting will begin in 20 minutes. They can start. Oh, can I start? Yes. Sorry, I apologize. Meeting can start.
Rubber motors work. They don't even know appearance of shortening this history. Well, it's we're all clean. It's a replacement. All right, let's see. It is. No.
Does anyone in here need a break before?
This is called, no, but it's at the end, right?
Like to call this special regular meeting of council for July 22nd, 2025 to order at 7:41 p.m. I'd like to acknowledge that we're in Treaty 5 territory and the city of Thompson is located on the ancestral lands of Indigenous Cree Nation. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed working partnerships with First Nations, Métis and Inuit people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation and collaboration. I have an approval of the agenda.
Special meetings.
Oh, special meeting, we don't need.
Yeah.
Okay. Go right into resolutions. Resolution 2.1 is a resolution to approve the 2025 financial plan. Resolution 2025-108, moved by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councilor Chuchong. Be it resolved that council approve the 2025 financial plan. Administration.
Nothing further.
Lynn.
The financial plan, unfortunately, that was posted on the website, there on page 5, there was, when I was transposing stuff from our general, ledger recently, I sent onto page 5, it grouped the, contributions to the library, the Oriole Discovery Center and the museum in with, one of the other accounts. I've since corrected it, so the page 5 that's before you tonight is the correct page. It doesn't have any effect on the bottom line, it just separates those three fundings for those bodies from the account that it was erroneously put into.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, this mover, do you have any comments? Councilors, comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councilor Wong, I didn't see your hand. You're carried. 2.2 is a resolution to approve the contract renewal for building inspector services. Resolution 2025-109, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that council authorize administration to enter into a one-year contract renewal with RG Business Solutions to provide support to our chief building inspector from July 10th, 2025 to July 10th, 2026. Live?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So this is a familiar memo that you've seen in the past. Again, right now, our chief building inspector, we've had some changes in the department recently, and we are back to just our chief building inspector downstairs. So by putting in, this contract, it will allow him to have some assistance, remotely, to provide, not only someone to discuss, building issues with, but also to cover. Our chief building inspector has vacation just like everyone else. So in periods where he is away, Blaine serves as the backup. And with everything done on cloud permit, it can all be done remotely. So the request is that we extend this. The value has not changed. He has held his fees the same for as many years as I've been here. So that's looking for a resolution to pass.
Thank you. Councillor Oberdorfer is the mover. Do you have any comments?
I don't have any further comments, thank you.
Any other councillors' comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Point three is a resolution to approve Councillor Lundmark's absence from council. 2025-110, moved by Councillor Wong, seconded by Councillor McIver. Whereas as per section 94(1)A of the Municipal Act, member of council is disqualified from council if he or she is absent for the full duration of 3 consecutive regular council meetings unless the absences are within the leave of the council, granted by a resolution passed at any of the 3 meetings, a prior meeting or the next meeting following the 3rd absence. Now therefore be it resolved that Councillor approve Councillor Lundmark's leave of absence from June 5th, 2025 to September 7th, 2025. Administration,
Nothing further.
Councillor Wong is the mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a question. When Councillor Lamar asked for a leave of absence to you directly, did he ask to get paid as well? Madam Mayor? He probably consult you and he probably talked to you about the one.
I don't think he asked the question, but we did discuss it when we were talking about it.
Okay. So here's my suggestion. I think when someone have a issue to ask for leave of absence, I have no problem to grant that request. But I have problem with getting paid because it's the 3rd time. So my suggestion is, this shouldn't be a taxpayer burden. As a council member, I think we all should be chipping for that pay for the time being until he's come back to work. That money is all come out of our paycheck to do that. So there's the one suggestion I have. And I don't know why you want to take another leave of absence. To me, if you have so much of critical issue that need to be taken 3 times of leave of absence, the right thing to do is to resign, just like Councillor.
Those aren't our
I understand
decisions to
that. I
make.
need to speak about it because to me it's a little bit over the board now. After 3 times, I think it's something should be considered. Just like the former Councillor Earl Colbert, because he discovered some issue with his health. So immediately he stepped down. That's why we have the Councillor Oswald Shaw to be elected to be replace his position. So to me, I would like to make a friendly amendment to this to be paid by council instead of the taxpayer. The wages.
I personally am not in favor of that amendment. I don't know if you have to have a seconder for it.
Yes, that's a motion you do first.
Yes, I want to make a motion to Councillor Lamar pay will be come out from council paycheck instead of the taxpayer.
Is there a second for that, seconder for that one? Councillor Chong,
Yes.
any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
How many against, how many, I don't know, I can see the hand.
It basically went through. I will not be giving up part of my paycheck for that. It was not a discussion with us, so we will have to have further discussions. Thank you. Where do we go here from now? Tammy and
You still have to debate the original motion you didn't pass.
the original motion is Councillor Landmark's
Leave about.
resolution, leave of absence.
And then the pay will come out of council's paycheck. That has been,
Actually, in
Approved.
addition to it,
yes, that has been approved
as amended.
as amended.
So as amended, basically, we're seeking now therefore be resolved that Councillor Landmark's leave of absence be granted from June 6th to September 27th with pay coming from peer council's paychecks. Okay, that's the way you want to read, Duncan?
How's that gonna work?
Call for the question, all those in favor?
You have to debate.
All debate, okay, sorry. Oswald?
Thank you. Yeah, you know what, I think at the heart of the matter is that I do agree that even though you're faced with a council that has some health issues, due to this being the third time, I think it's a natural discussion, say that how, it's one thing to have a leave, another thing to have a leave with pay. So that's totally understandable. I personally am fine either way, this if coming out of our pay or with us granting a leave without pay, it's either or, but I do think that we're at the moment when we have a third request. You really have to really look at, when it comes to taxpayer purse, that it does become a very challenging issue, so I do see the concern by Councilor Wong.
Thank you. These are discussions that should have maybe been made at the committee of the whole when we were talking about this and agreed to move it to this regular council meeting. I do not want to continue this debate in public about person and that. Do we move it off the agenda for tonight? Can we do that? Because I do not believe this should be a public discussion. Kathy?
My comments, Mayor Smook, were to be that I wouldn't support a resolution where it comes out of council's pay right now. I understand there is concerns. It is never, I feel, do we have the right to judge somebody's medical situation that they're in? And I completely respect people who need to take time for medical, whatever that may be, and for how long they may need. When we see this resolution, it's because of everything that's been going on, and our meetings have changed and been canceled in light of wildfire situations which have taken precedent, that this leave of absence is actually from June the 5th. So that would just be a whole other issue for if we were gonna pass this, that it's coming from council. Are we then gonna have to pay back from June? I think that, to your point, Mayor Smook, we can have a further discussion, because we probably September 7th is going to be here before we know it, if this is going to come up again. But these kind of discussions council should have had in greater detail at committee of the whole. I will only support the initial resolution. I will not support one that says that we have to now back pay from June 5th and get that figured out, and council paying for his pay. I will not support that.
Any other comments? Councilor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't think we need a further discussion. The simple fact is, if some of my colleagues do not want to chip in the money because of their support to get paid, and now they don't want to chip in the money, my solution is very simple. Instead of amend that come up from our paycheck, we should make that amendment, the friendly amendment, say, we granted the counselor leave of absence with no pay. So we all don't have to chip in. You don't have to argue about it. We don't need the further discussion. Because he never asked for pay. All he asked is a time off to get his health recovered. But you are mayor, you are the one who suggest to get paid.
We
So
did
now,
agree at.
no, that was in camera, not in the committee at whole. There was an in-camera discussion. So now we bring the resolution forward, so we should speak on it. So my suggestion is make a friendly amendment into the resolution to say without pay, and we don't need a further discussion. If you want to pay, we already agree we're going to deduct from our paycheck, which is passed. So you guys pick the choice. Either you want to pay out of our pocket or no pay. Done. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilor John, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Like, if a person is difficulty, right? Even financially or anything, as a council, we should work together, we should support each other, right? If we need the fund, we should help to contribute, rather than put the burden on the taxpayer. I think this is the right way to do. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anthony?
So just for clarification, Councillor Wong, I think, were you making a motion to rescind the previous motion? And to bring a new motion forward for no pay? Then you need a seconder to bring that new motion forward.
Oh.
And just clarify,
I'm not making any motion here. I'm just suggesting.
No, but you had made the first motion.
The first motion already passed, right? The one with deduction. So I'm not making any other motion right now. We're just getting a debate, see where it goes.
Oswald, Councilor Sawton?
You know what, I agree with what was just mentioned. It's regretful that we have this type of discussion. I wasn't at that in camera when this was last discussed. I will say that this type of discussion should have been had before. In saying that, I will agree that the cleanest way of doing this right now is we have an amendment to have a leave without pay. I'm concerned when we're having this type of discussion about a fellow colleague who is not here to really say anything. I think it's beneath council to be taking this route. I would like to just have a friendly motion saying, let's have the leave without pay is a lot cleaner. I don't know what the mechanics are, Anthony, with city manager, but we should not be dragging this up like that. This is the easiest way of.
Anthony?
yeah, so because of the last motion that passed, you'd have to do the motion to basically rescind that. And the motion would also include that the original motion or resolution removes pay.
So I'd move for that. I do need a second.
So we have Councilor Wong,
I'll be a second.
so that was motion is rescinded,
No,
all in favor?
that motion now needs to be debated.
Oh, that. Guys, I thought we had to rescind the first one first.
It's in one motion. You're doing both in one motion.
Go to Councilor Valentino.
Thanks, Mayor Smook. So, I understand it, looking at it to be a cleaner way, but this is from June 5th. So we have a counselor who's off on medical. So are we gonna ask him to pay back his June and July pay? So now it's really only gonna be, because it's really gonna only be the August pay, because it's already July 22nd. So I think the cleanest way is, for me, is I just approve the original resolution that we discussed as a council to get it to the table today. If this comes up again with Councillor Lundmark's health and another leave of absence, then I would be open to a different way of dealing with this, but this is backdated from June the 5th. I'm only supporting the original resolution. I'm not supporting anything else.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Anthony, walk me through this here.
So council now has to vote on them, either if there's no further discussion on that new motion, you have to vote on the motion that basically says the previous motions were moved. And you are also at the same time amending the original resolution to say leave of absence with no pay. That's what you're voting on, so you have to take a vote now. Unless you're gonna debate that further.
Is there any further debate on that?
And just see Lynn has a comment.
Lynn?
Just further to, Councillor Valentino's comments. The, council indemnities are paid at the end of every month, so the July payment hasn't been made yet, if you're looking at.
And that would be a whopping $900 approximately. Okay, seeing no more comments? Call for the question, who's in favor? Opposed? Defeated.
So you have the original,
The original motion still stands.
correct, that it's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, well, however, I thought we had 4 in support of that.
You did?
That's 3 against.
That tie vote is defeat.
So we pay come up from our pocket, that's all.
No,
Done.
No, it still has to be voted on.
still have to vote on the original resolution
Yes.
As
with,
amended.
as amended.
Last time.
The original motion as amended.
The original motion as amended.
Okay. So, all those in favor?
Original motion as amended, all those in favor? Opposed?
It's defeated.
Defeated.
Yeah.
We're back to the original.
No, we're not, it's defeated.
Now we're in the situation we're not granting his leave of absence.
Is there an option to make a motion out to table this? No, so they already voted.
Sorry, voted. Well, you know what, Ryder?
For leave of absence.
Point forward, the resolution to approve the option to purchase 35 Ninth Crescent. Resolution 2025-111, moved by Councillor Wong, second by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Whereas the city is in receipt of an option to purchase application for 35 Ninth Crescent, approximately 23,100 square feet from 101100931 going Manitoba Limited, and plans to build an automotive repair shop, instead of ship, and auto parts store. Now therefore be it resolved that council approve the option to purchase application for 35 Ninth Crescent for a total of $19,550 plus GST. Going to administration, Lyle?
Yeah, good evening. So yeah, this is a developer that's come forward, has looked at the property at 35 Ninth. This is a tree property on Ninth Crescent, kind of on the north side of Ninth. Their plan is to build as you mentioned, an auto shop, a repair shop and parts store. The discussion occurred at an in-camera meeting in June, and it was decided to bring forward for resolution. Just a reminder to council, this is an option, so basically, with an option, the developer has a period of 1 year to provide us with their full plans of what they intend to do. At which time we will come back with a land sale and development agreement document for your review and consideration. So this basically gives them some security to be able to get the designs done, get their drawings done, get their finances in place, be able to purchase it.
Okay, can we also have some kind of an option there that if it's not within the year that we get the land back? That
That's what happens.
And the
So if they
agreement
don't do anything at the end of the year, it comes back to us. Yeah. They have the there's the option agreement, which I believe is attached to your package. There is the ability to do a second year just requires more money down. But, if nothing happens, it comes back to us. This is not the final deal.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wong is the mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think we should sell the land and the price is right. If it's not developed, there will be a kind of waste for them. And I'm wondering, is this a standard now? Like, seems like a few property that we did make the kind of agreement, but it's still not developed. So those are the discussion we need to have it in later on, because there's a few property I like to
We have a
mention
couple
it
of-
next time.
We have a couple of options and I can bring those information
Yeah,
next time.
please.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
for this particular property, I will support it and thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, councillors? Seeing none, call for the question, all those in favor? Carried. Two point five is a resolution to approve the option to purchase lot 2, block 3, plan 56373 Weir Road. Resolution 2025-112, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, seconded by Councillor McIver. Whereas the city is in receipt of an option to purchase application for lot 2, block 3, plan 56373, approximately 193,406 square feet from the Thompson Co-op Board. Now therefore be it resolved that council grant the option to purchase to lot 2, block 3, plan 56373 at a cost of $193,406 plus GST. Live.
Yeah, so again, similar to that, this last one, we have another developer come forward, looking at this property on the corner of Weir and Walton, I guess, across from Northwest School. They are looking to build a grocery store. So this property is currently zoned in the medium density housing zone, residential medium density, so there would have to be some rezoning done. So again, they've provided their application, they've provided the price. This was reviewed earlier on in the camera and is being brought forward tonight for resolution. Again, as I mentioned with the last one, this is simply the option. They will now go home, do all their homework, come back with all their plans and designs and all of this to be forward to a sale. And if nothing happens in the option, the property comes back to the city.
Thank you. Councillor Oberdorfer is the mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for our community, for our local co-op to further invest locally, and I'm excited to see their plans come to fruition, so definitely be supporting it.
Thank you. Any other comments, councillors? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. We're going to go into bylaws. 3.1 is the first reading of bylaw 20502025, being the levy bylaw. Resolution 2025-113, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, second by Councillor Chong. Be it resolved that bylaw 20502025, being the levy bylaw of the city of Thompson for the year 2025, be introduced and read for a first time. Administration?
Nothing further.
Councillor Oberdorfer is the mover.
Nothing further.
Other comments from councillors? Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. After the Lynn, our CFO, presented the financial plan, I have a question about all the property increase based on, look like 90% of the property that got increases, only one area is decreasing. Right? So my question is based on the mill rate increase. So is that a significant amount that bring in to the revenue to the city?
There really isn't a major increase in the general levy overall from the city. But the big problem was the general reassessment that the increases in abnormal increases in the values of the properties that are residential and but it isn't the same in every area. For example, in the Westwood area, I picked one property and gave you that sample, but there are other properties in the Westwood area that wouldn't see that type of increase. It depends on their assessments. It's all over the map, the way that the assessments are. For example, I looked at one residence in my area, I'll use my own home, for example, I'm going to see a 500 and whatever dollar increase in my taxes this year. Whereas my neighbor, who has a bi-level also, but it's a little bit smaller than mine, they've got an attached garage and everything, they're going to see only a 300. So it depends on the area. So it's not safe for me to say we have an average increase in the whole of the city for residential properties because of that fluctuation. The major decrease is in the commercial properties. And we tax, we're mandated, both the school division and the city are mandated to tax the residential and commercial properties with exactly the same mill rate. But the difference for the commercial properties is that the education support levy is only put on commercial properties. It is not put on residential properties. And they decreased, the province decreased the amount of the mill rate that they're charging to commercial properties, so that more than gave them a big break, because they're taking away that 10% reduction they used to give in education taxes.
Can I follow up? Okay, so based on the decrease from the commercial, we're talking about what, $80,000, right? Earlier when you present, about $80,000 less that we can collect because of the decrease of the value assessment. So what I'm talking about, overall, majority of the property assessment is up.
Right.
So the city will receive a little bit more money from the residential. Yes or no?
That's correct.
So the commercial is reducing the value, so we collect less money from the commercial property. But when I look at the big picture, the residential will accumulate more money than even we minus the commercial property, we're still bringing significant increase from the revenue. Am I right or wrong? Based on the assessment.
Not really, because we can like we're not charging a different mill rate in either school division for commercial or residential. So it again depends on the assessed values.
So, sorry, if I understand what you're trying to explain. So the difference from the property tax go up for, let's example, my house, I will pay extra $500. So the $500 because I don't get the school tax deduction.
Right.
It's not because of the city collecting a little bit more money.
No, not other than what we've had to go for.
Because when I look at that, when I do some math, looks like we have enough money to cover the 2% that we're trying to increase for the property tax. So I don't think we need to do that based on the changes. So it should be a zero because of the increased revenue from assessment. Unless I'm reading something wrong. But anyway, that will be my question earlier, and now when I look at, after your presentation, I look like we don't need to go for the 2% because of the increased value of the property tax. I could be wrong, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Officer.
Thank you. I understand where you come from in regards, you know, the main challenge that the province did not do a better job of educating people as to what was happening with these changes. I know there's some that knew about it, but a lot didn't. It's fallen upon the local municipalities now to clean up their mess in regards to lack of proper communication. So saying that, I do understand that the overall increase is more due to less credits that these guys are getting. But the actual overall value has really more of a shifting from commercial to residential. So so I understand, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really result in an increase based on the 2%. It's just the shifting of the values and the less credits that he says, and that's why they're seeing those increases. So my one question is, with the shipment value, and one of the speakers actually alluded to it. Do we know why there was such a change? Like I've never seen that before. Is there a reason why this happened this time around when you've seen that level of changes, like shifting?
I'll get Anthony to answer that for you.
So I believe assessments branch came and made a presentation for council, and what they told, at least what I remember from the presentation I sat in, they started using new technology to do assessments. So things they didn't assess in the past are now being added, such as decks, sheds, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Because they're using aerial imagery like they haven't used in the past. So they've assessed a number of people's properties using this satellite imagery. And they've added things that were not captured in the past and have reassessed the property that way. So at least that's from the presentations I attended, what they've done at a provincial level. And they've done this in other communities a few years ago. It's just come to Thompson now, is what I was told, at least in the meetings I was.
Okay, thank you. And just one follow-up, when was that presentation done, last year, something?
Oh, I can't remember. Was it last year? I've had about 5 from them, so I can't
Last
remember.
fall.
Yeah, this is the fall of last year.
Okay, well, so thank you. I wasn't aware of that. So that explains a lot of it then, and why it would impact residential more so than commercial, so.
There was one property that, actually the gentleman went to the assessment branch. He came in when he got his assessment notice. And, he went to the assessment branch and he came back and when they had reassessed his property, they reassessed a deck and air conditioning on the property that had never existed. And although the deck and the air conditioning have been built with the property and have existed through all the years. So I think that we've known, even as far back as the early 2000s, that there were an enormous amount of people who did construction projects on their property and didn't get building permits. And that's usually what triggers the assessment branch to look at the assessed value of the property, is when somebody gets a building permit and does renovations to their house, and that would increase it. This new technology has given them the ability to be able to assess properties with decks and new roofs and stuff that people previously were taxed on. That is a small portion of some of the issues, but that could be it.
Yeah, thank you. Just one last thought. And yeah, I know when they were assessing before, it was more just very visual. And quite often just from what they saw from the street. And not as much of time to what was going on in the back and outside, so.
100 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Senator.
That's fine. I was just gonna comment further to what Anthony was saying, but it doesn't really apply to the motion, so.
Councilor Tom.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I listened to the presentation just now, and I understand even without the 2% increase, some of the property tax are really tax close to 10%. So if without the 2% increase, but the property still pay 8%. So this is quite a big jump for some of the property in Townville. So I think the 2% shouldn't be there. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. That's the call for adjournment. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, Councilor Oberdorfer, all in favor?